When I was 12, I thought hide and seek was just a fun game, until the night I learned what can happen when you hide in the wrong place. It was one of those endless summer vacations. My cousins and I were staying at our aunt's old farmhouse out in rural Kansas, the kind of place that always looked harmless in daylight, but by sunset every creak and shadow felt wrong. The property had been in the family for decades. My aunt used to tell stories about it, how the original owner had gone insane one winter night and murdered his wife and 2 children with an axe before hanging himself in the barn. The locals said his spirit still wandered the fields looking for playmates. I never really believed it. Not until that afternoon. We'd been outside all day, bored and sweaty, when one of my cousins, Tyler, suggested a game of hide and seek. The rule was simple: stay within the main house, the barn, or the field shed. No wandering into the woods. When it was my turn to hide, I sprinted toward the barn. The doors were half open, their hinges shrieking like something alive. Dust floated in the slanting sunlight, and I could smell old hay and rust. Inside, there was a narrow staircase leading up to a small living area that must have belonged to the caretaker decades ago. The floorboards groaned under my sneakers as I climbed. Every step echoed like a warning. The upstairs was a wreck. Broken furniture, shattered plates, clothes turned to rags. I found a small bedroom with a closet at the back. Inside hung a few old black dresses that hadn't been touched in years. Perfect. I slipped behind them, pulled the folding doors shut, and crouched down. Only a thin beam of sunlight crept through the crack. I waited. Minutes passed. Then what felt like hours. I started to think they'd given up. The air grew hotter, heavier. I tried to stretch my legs, but a cramp locked up my calf. I must have drifted off at some point, because the next thing I knew, it was pitch black. The air was colder now. Dead silent. I blinked, confused. How long had I been asleep? I reached for my phone. Dead battery. My chest tightened as I realized what that meant. They'd gone home. They thought I'd already left. I was alone. I pushed at the closet door, but it stuck. The wood was swollen from humidity. I shoved harder until it creaked open an inch, and then I heard it. A door slamming downstairs. The sound echoed through the whole barn. My heart jumped into my throat. "Tyler?" I whispered. Nothing. Then came footsteps. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Not a kid's footsteps. Each step was followed by a dull thud, like something dragging across the floor. I pressed my hand to my mouth, praying whoever it was wouldn't come upstairs. But the sound grew louder, climbing the steps one by one. My whole body shook. I could smell something faint and rotten, like wet earth and old meat. The footsteps reached the second floor and stopped. Then came a scraping sound as metal against wood, like a shovel or a blade dragging along the floorboards. The sound moved closer. I could see shadows shifting under the closet door. The footsteps paused right in front of it. I stopped breathing. After what felt like forever, they moved on, slow, deliberate, heading toward the other side of the room. Then silence. Minutes passed. Maybe 10, maybe 30. I couldn't tell anymore. I finally gathered enough courage to move when something happened that froze me solid. The smell and that rotting stench filled the closet. Then I heard breathing. Right behind me. Hot, slow, wet breaths brushing against my neck. I screamed and threw myself forward, bursting through the closet door. I stumbled into the dark room, knocking over a broken chair. Something grabbed at my shirt. I felt the fabric tear, and I bolted for the stairs. The entire barn shook as I sprinted down, crashing into walls and furniture. I didn't dare look back. Whatever was chasing me moved fast, heavy, angry steps pounding behind me. I burst through the barn doors and didn't stop running until I saw the faint porch light from my aunt's house. When I finally turned around, there was nothing there. No footsteps, no sound. Only the empty field, swaying quietly under the moon. By the time I reached the porch, there were cars in the driveway, and including a police cruiser. My parents were inside, pale and panicked. Apparently, when I hadn't returned by evening, everyone thought I was lost in the woods. They'd been searching for hours. The police had already checked the barn twice and found nothing. When I told them what happened, they didn't believe me. The officer said maybe I fell asleep and dreamed it. But when my mom took me home that night, she noticed the rip in my shirt. A jagged tear shaped like fingers. I never went back there. Years later, One of my cousins finally admitted something he'd never told anyone. He said that during the search, he and his brother had gone to the barn and looked up at the window of the room I was hiding in. He swore he saw me standing there, smiling and waving for them to come upstairs. But when they got close enough to the barn, I turned around and walked away from the window. Except I was still in the closet, asleep. After the barn incident, I never played hide and seek the same way again. Even years later, my heart still pounds thinking about it. But sometimes the fear doesn't just end with one person. A few months ago, my friend group decided to relive our childhood adventures. Only this time, we were teenagers, reckless and eager to push limits. 6 of us, me, Alan, Dan, Johnny, Daniela and Nick, decided to explore the old Harrington estate on the edge of town. No one had lived there for over a decade. The locals avoided it. Stories said the last owner went insane after a series of murders in the family. Some claimed he still wandered the halls at night, seeking company, revenge or attention. We thought it was perfect for hide and seek. The estate was massive. 3 stories, countless rooms, a basement full of abandoned furniture and broken glass, and a small pond out back. Night fell quickly. The house groaned and creaked as wind passed through broken windows. Our flashlights cut weak beams through the black. We agreed to stay together, but soon it became clear the house had its own rules. I hid first, heading to a small room on the 2nd floor with a closet. Classic, I thought. Perfect vantage point. I crouched behind tattered curtains, holding my breath as my friends counted down. Minutes went by. Then laughter. Footsteps. I knew my friends were moving, but then the noise stopped. Too quiet. I peeked through the curtains, nothing, just empty hallways, shadows stretching across peeling wallpaper. Then I heard it, a soft thump, like someone closing a door slowly downstairs. At first I assumed it was a prank. Alan, always the jokester, trying to scare me. But seconds later came heavier, deliberate footsteps, the kind that don't belong to teenagers. My blood ran cold. The steps moved in a rhythm, heavy and dragging. Something brushed the wooden floorboards downstairs. A faint metallic scraping sound followed. I froze. My flashlight flickered, illuminating broken chairs and stacks of moldy books. A putrid smell, like damp rot mixed with decay, wafted upward. I gagged. I whispered for Alan. Nothing, not a sound. The footsteps creaked closer. Then a sudden, almost playful tap on the floor above me. My heart jumped into my throat. I gripped the edge of the curtain as the tapping grew faster. Deliberate, taunting, almost like someone was counting down. My knees shook. Then I heard it. A whisper. Found you. It wasn't Alan or Dan. None of my friends were upstairs. The voice was low, raspy, and impossibly close. I tried to move, but my legs locked. The air grew heavy. Shadows stretched across the room, twisting like smoke. Then something brushed against my shoulder. Hot, wet, real. I screamed, stumbling backward. My flashlight fell, casting wild beams that danced across the room. I scrambled toward the door and unfroze. At the top of the stairs stood a figure, naked, pale, thin, and impossibly still. Eyes wide and unblinking, staring directly at me. A smile stretched too far across its face, jagged and unnatural. Its fingers dragged along the railing, leaving scratches deep into the wood. I bolted down the stairs, tripping over broken floorboards. The figure didn't chase me, but not yet. It just watched, tilting its head like it was playing some horrible game. I reached the front door. Locked. Somehow, locked from the inside. I turned, heart hammering, and the figure had moved. Not following, anticipating, waiting. At the top of the main hall, I grabbed a broken chair leg as a weapon. My friends finally appeared, calling my name, flashlights shaking in the darkness. Relief washed over me, until I noticed something impossible. Alan was standing behind me, pale, wide-eyed, whispering my name. I spun. Alan shook his head violently. I didn't move from the basement, he whispered. That's when I realized something terrifying. There were 2 of him. The second Alan, the one upstairs staring at me, tilted its head and grinned, a silent mockery of his features. I could see it now clearly. Long, sharp teeth, eyes too wide, and a presence that shouldn't exist. We ran. Out the back door into the cold night. But the house didn't end there. Outside, footprints. Not ours. Bare humans circling the property. Every window, every door, every corner. They stopped exactly at our line of sight, as if someone was watching, studying. We piled into my truck, locked the doors, and drove without looking back. The next day, curiosity got the better of us. We returned cautiously. The house appeared empty in daylight. Broken glass, peeling wallpaper, mold. Nothing unusual. No footprints. No evidence of anyone being there. Dan's younger brother spotted something we didn't see at first. A small room tucked behind the kitchen wall, one we hadn't entered. Inside was a closet. Inside the closet, black dresses folded carefully, untouched by dust, and on the floor, footprints in dried mud. Too small for any adult, too precise for a child. They led directly to the corner. And stopped. No one had been in that room. Not anyone living, breathing. We never returned. Even months later, we noticed a pattern. In other towns, in other states, other abandoned houses, people vanish. Kids play hide and seek, and the missing are never found. But witnesses swear they see the same figure, pale, grinning, unblinking, standing at the window, waiting, watching. I still can't explain it. And some nights when I lie in bed, I swear I hear tapping, just faintly, slow, waiting for the next game to begin. After the Harrington Estate incident, our group swore never to return to abandoned houses. But the feeling of being watched never left me. I tried to push it away, telling myself it was just my imagination. Until it happened again. A few weeks later, it was a cold October night. My friend group, me, Dan, Alan, and Johnny, decided to meet at a deserted field behind the old Miller farmhouse. Everyone said it was haunted. Kids had gone missing there decades ago, and parents warned us to stay away. Perfect for a night game, we thought. We agreed to a simple game of hide and seek. No buildings this time, just the open field and the tree line. I counted first. The others disappeared into the darkness. I started slowly, calling out, trying to find them. Minutes passed. No response. Then a sudden rustling in the tall grass. I froze. At first I assumed it was a deer or some small animal. But then I saw a figure, not one of my friends, standing in the middle of the field, perfectly still, pale in the moonlight, staring directly at me. It had no clothes, or at least nothing I could recognize as clothing. Its hair was long black, matted and hanging over its face. I could see its eyes glinting as it tilted its head unnaturally. I called out for my friends, but there was no response. Then I noticed the footprints. Human, yes, but wrong. They weren't walking patterns. The prints looped, doubled back, crisscrossed. Whoever this was, it had been watching us. Anticipating every move, suddenly I heard a whisper. "Come find me." It came from all around me. Wind? No, the voice was too deliberate, too close. So I spun, flashlight shaking. The figure was gone. I ran toward the tree line, hoping to find Alan or Dan, but the field stretched endlessly. The moonlight flickered through the clouds, casting shadows that moved in ways they shouldn't. Then a sound I will never forget. Laughter. High-pitched, childlike, but distorted, wrong for any human. It came from everywhere and nowhere at once. I found Alan first. He was crouched behind a tree, pale, staring at something on the ground. "What is it?" I whispered. He pointed. Footprints, not ours, barefoot and leading straight toward the woods. Then suddenly veering off into nothing. Before I could process, Johnny screamed. From the opposite side of the field, I ran toward him. But when I got there, he wasn't there. Just a whisper of movement in the tall grass. Panic set in. I realized something terrifying. We weren't just playing hide and seek anymore. We ran toward the edge of the field. The tree line, the farmhouse, anything. But the field seemed to stretch longer, darker, more alive. Shadows clung to our sides. A tapping sound, my soft, deliberate, coming from behind us, echoed. Then I saw it again. The figure, standing at the edge of the field, watching, waiting, and this time, it smiled. We bolted. Through the woods, crashing over roots, branches, tripping, screaming. But no matter how fast we ran, I felt it following. Not running, not walking, just gliding, somehow keeping pace. Finally, we stumbled into a clearing near the farmhouse. Lights flickered inside. Someone had a candle or lantern. We called out, no answer. The door creaked open on its own. Inside, dust, cobwebs, the remnants of an old life. A rocking chair moved slowly, though no wind blew. On the walls, scratched into the plaster, were names. Our names. We didn't stay. We ran to the road, swore never to speak of it again. but sometimes I hear the tapping. At night outside my window, slow, steady, waiting for the next game. Even Alan, usually the skeptic, won't go near that field. He says he can still feel those eyes on him, watching, smiling. And I know one thing for certain, hide and seek is never just a game. Not when someone, or something, is playing with you from the shadows. After that terrifying night at the Miller Field, I thought the worst was behind us. But that fear had only awakened something. Something that didn't want to be forgotten. A few weeks later, it was late November. The weather had turned cold, and the wind whistled through the empty streets like it knew my name. Alan, Dan, Johnny and I had all agreed to meet again, this time at my friend Nick's house. We wanted to hang out, play video games and try to laugh off what had happened. But there was a tension none of us could shake. Something in the woods in the abandoned field had left its mark on us. It started subtly. First, it was noises outside Nick's window at night. Slow tapping, scratching. At first, we thought it was the wind, but then the shadows moved. Too fast, too deliberate. One night, I was lying in bed when I saw it. A figure standing in the backyard, silhouetted against the weak moonlight. Its posture was wrong, too stiff like a mannequin. But I knew it wasn't a trick of the light. I froze. It tilted its head and I swear it smiled. The next Friday, we decided foolishly to play hide and seek inside Nick's house. We wanted to prove we weren't scared. We laughed nervously as we drew straws to see who would hide first. I lost. My heart was already pounding before I even moved. I slipped into the basement, a dark room full of boxes and old furniture. I found a closet and squeezed inside, crouched, holding my breath. Minutes passed. Then I heard it, footsteps. Not the light, casual footsteps of a kid, but heavy, deliberate, like something was walking over broken wood, dragging its feet and humming. A lullaby, wrong or wrong. I peeked through the crack of the closet door. There it was, a shadowy figure standing in the middle of the basement. Its face was partially obscured, but the grin was unmistakable. Long black hair clung to its wet, pale skin. Its eyes glowed faintly in the dark. And in its hand, a knife. I froze. It turned its head slowly toward me, and then it whispered, "You're it." I didn't respond. I couldn't. My legs refused to move. The figure advanced slowly, dragging the knife across the floor, creating a grating sound that made my teeth ache. I made a sudden decision. I bolted. Out of the closet, knocking boxes over. The figure followed, gliding eerily fast. I ran up the stairs, screamed for the others, but when I reached the top, the hallway was empty. Nick, Alan, Dan, Johnny, all gone. I called their names, no answer. Only the whispering, now coming from the vents, the walls, even the floorboards. Come play. I bolted outside, only to see shadows flitting across the yard, circling me. Then I noticed something chilling. Footprints. Bare, twisted, irregular, circling the house, stopping, looping back, and then disappearing into the woods. I ran to the street, lights flickering from passing cars, barely illuminating the dark. By the time the neighbors came out to investigate, there was no trace of my friends. No sounds, no signs of struggle. Just the empty yard and the faint echo of laughter fading into the night. The police searched for hours, days, weeks. Nothing. It was as if the house and the field had claimed them, leaving no evidence. Nick's parents moved out immediately. Dan's and Alan's families refused to discuss the events, and Johnny's parents blamed overactive imaginations. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. And the worst part? Sometimes at night when I lie awake, I hear it again. The tapping, the whispering, the slow, deliberate footsteps, waiting, watching, smiling. And I know it's still out there, waiting for the next game, waiting for the next players. Hide and seek is never just a game. Not when someone or something is outside hiding in the dark. Just waiting. It's been 4 months since that night. Since my friends disappeared. Everyone's moved on, at least that's what they pretend. But I can't. I still wake up drenched in sweat, the same nightmare repeating, standing in that field, hearing footsteps circling me, whispering from the dark. Sometimes I wake to actual tapping at my window. I used to tell myself it was branches. Now I don't even check. The police never found anything. No bodies, no signs of a struggle. It's as if they were erased. And somehow, deep down, I know They're still playing the game. Somewhere. It started again last week. It was late, past 1 a.m., when I got a message on my phone from an unknown number. No text, just a photo. A blurry shot of my street, my house, my bedroom window. At first I laughed. I thought maybe it was a cruel prank, someone trying to mess with me after hearing the story. But then another message came through. This one said only, "Your turn to hide." I dropped the phone. My heart pounded so loud I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. I looked outside. Nothing but the soft sway of trees under the streetlights. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there staring out the window, waiting for movement. At around 3:17 a.m., my bedroom light flickered. Then faintly from the hallway I heard it. Footsteps, slow, deliberate. My parents were asleep. The house should have been silent. The steps stopped outside my door. I held my breath. The doorknob turned. Once, twice, then stopped. Silence. I waited, every muscle in my body trembling. After what felt like forever, I heard the whisper. So close it sounded like it came from right behind the door. "You're it." I froze. The air turned heavy, almost electric. I grabbed my phone, shining the flashlight toward the door. Nothing, no shadow, no figure, no movement. But I could feel it. Something was in the room with me, watching. The next morning, my parents said they didn't hear anything. But they noticed the front door was open. And on the doormat, footprints, bare, muddy, leading into the house. That night I stayed with Dan's older brother, who lived 2 towns over. I didn't tell him the details, just that I didn't want to be alone. Around midnight, while we were talking, the power went out. Pitch black. "Relax," he said, fumbling for his phone light. "Probably just the fuse." That's when we heard it, 3 knocks. Slow, rhythmic knock, 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 not from the front door. From the closet. Dan's brother, trying to laugh it off, grabbed a baseball bat and swung the closet door open. Nothing, just coats and a few boxes. We both exhaled, until we noticed something carved into the inside of the door. "Let's play." That was the last night I stayed there. By now I'd stopped trying to make sense of it. This wasn't about a haunted house anymore. It was something else. A game that started long before us. 2 days later I decided to go back to the Miller field alone. I needed answers or closure. The sun was setting when I got there. The field looked smaller now, overgrown with weeds. The air was still. I walked toward the middle where we last saw the figure. My footsteps crunched over dead grass. The air felt thicker, heavier. That's when I saw them, footprints, dozens, maybe hundreds, small and large, circling each other, all barefoot. And they weren't old. The dirt was freshly disturbed. My breath caught as I crouched down. Among the prints was something shiny, a phone. Alan's phone, still on, still showing our group chat. The last message sent from it was a single phrase, "Don't let it find you." I looked around. The sun dipped below the horizon. The wind picked up. The field darkened fast, then faintly I heard laughter, not distant, close, circling me. Ready or not, I spun, flashlight trembling. Shadows stretched across the grass, merging, twisting. I couldn't tell where one ended and the next began. I started to back away, my pulse hammering. When I saw something in the distance, a figure standing by the tree line, it looked like Dan. Same height, same clothes. He was waving me over. "Dan!" I called out. "Is that you?" He didn't answer, just kept waving. His movements were stiff, unnatural, jerky. I started walking toward him, tears stinging my eyes. "Where have you been, man? What happened to you?" Then he tilted his head and smiled. That same impossible wide grin I'd seen in the house, and behind him in the dark I saw others. Dozens of figures, all still, all watching. Alan, Johnny, Nick, they were all there, or what was left of them. Their faces were pale, eyes hollow, movements slow and puppet-like. I stumbled backward. My light flickered, then died. Darkness swallowed everything. The voices started again, dozens of them whispering, overlapping, distorted. "Your turn to hide. It's your turn. You're it." I ran, I don't remember how long. Branches slashed my arms and face. My lungs burned. But I didn't stop until I saw the highway lights. By the time I got home, dawn was breaking. My clothes were torn, my shoes soaked in mud. My phone was missing. But there was something in my pocket, something I didn't remember putting there. A small piece of paper, folded neatly. I opened it with shaking hands. Written in red, uneven letters. "Thanks for playing, that was 2 nights ago." Since then, the tapping hasn't stopped. Every night at exactly 3:17 a.m. Sometimes it's at the window. Sometimes it's from inside the walls, and last night, it came from under my bed. When I bent down, flashlight trembling in my hand, I saw the reflection of two eyes staring back, wide, grinning, waiting. Now I understand. You don't stop playing hide and seek. Not with them, because once they choose you, the game never ends.